Definitely, yes.
Why don't we move up there? Yeah. So we're sitting there like in the back of the plane. I know. We just like turn our way. Yeah. Our heads in the way. No, we're good. I'm sitting by Amber. She's my girlfriend. Yep. I hope they got that on tape.
Good afternoon. As Miss Mayberry said, my name is Brian Grover, and if you haven't, you forget that or whatever, just call me Dad. I respond to that pretty well. Probably just like your dads at home. I'm up here to talk to you about addiction, drugs, and what that life is like. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a member of the school district or a cop or anything like that. All I am is a parent of an addict. My son is a heroin addict. Now, spoiler alert, right now he's clean. He's been clear and sober since July of 2010. But for 7 years, he was in active addiction. So you see what I'm talking about here is very, very personal to me. This is my son. I love him and I'm proud of him, regardless. But it's very painful. Now I'd like this talk to be very personal for you too, because my son is a graduate of Baser Linwood High School. He sat in the chairs that you were sitting in. He had Miss Mayberry as a teacher. He had other teachers around here. He wore a Bobcat football jersey. He wore a Bobcat basketball uniform. In his bedroom at home, his old bedroom, I can go up there and get a pile of forensic medals that I can't hold in my hand like this. He was on the Gold and Green Honor Roll just about every semester. He was smart. He was popular. And he wound up being addicted to drugs. And that's what this is about. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you not to use drugs. That's not what I'm out to do. There's been somebody telling you not to use drugs since you were this high, right? I'm going to spend my time talking about what will happen to you if you make a choice to begin using drugs. I'm going to tell you about how it will affect you, how it will affect your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, the loved ones in your life. That's what this is going to be about. Now I can stand up here and I can talk for hours on end about this whole subject, but that's not going to be really great. I want this to be interactive. If you've got a comment, if you've got a question, just say it. This is for you. I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing it for you. So if you want to talk about something, you want to talk about experience or whatever, feel free. We'll discuss it. This is a safe place today. Now I'm going to ask one thing of everybody in here before I begin talking. All I'm going to ask of you is for you to be honest with yourself. I will not ask for a show of hands at any time or anything else. All I'm asking of you is to be completely and totally honest with yourself, deep inside yourself, about this subject, about what we're talking about. Now I'm asking something of you. I'm willing to give something in return. There is nothing off limits. You ask a question, we'll talk about it. I'll tell you everything I know. I'll open up my family to all of this, my experiences, and I'll be straight with you. I mean, I'm past that hiding stuff stage and shame stage. So if you've got a question, you wanna talk about it, let's talk. That's what the important thing is. Now, why am I here? I'm here to maybe give you a first-hand experience of what it's like if you haven't been exposed to having an addict in your life. I'm here to give you a first-hand experience about what a person becomes when they're an addict. For instance, we had no change jar in our bedroom, not even for pennies. We kept our cars locked up, even when they were in the garage. Mom slept with her purse locked in the trunk of her car. We slept with the keys to our vehicles under our pillows. We kept aluminum foil locked up in the trunk of the car. Anybody know why that would be? Well, I'll tell you about that later. But imagine somebody comes over to your house, they want a piece of aluminum foil, you gotta go out to the trunk of the car and get it. We got calls from the hospital telling us that the doctors weren't sure if he would make it. That's why I'm here talking to you. Why are you here? Well, what is this? Third hour? Third hour, right? And you gotta be here, because otherwise you get a tardy slip or an absentee slip. But what I hope at the end of this period is you don't sit back and think, I just lost 60 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. That's what I'm trying to do. Now, addiction is a disease. And some of you may be sitting back and saying, no, addiction's a choice. You choose whether you use drugs or not. And I can relate to you very well because for 5 years, I believed addiction was a choice. 5 years of experiences with this. With my son, I believed addiction was a choice. And then I realized it's a disease. There's a physiological change in your brain when you become addicted. When I got it, I can remember that very clearly that day when it began to click, because I used to have one thing, I said, I don't understand it. Usually I'd say these words at the top of my lungs because it was in the middle of a fight about him using or us finding needles and stuff in his room and things. And I'd say, I don't get it. No lying, no stealing, no drugs. Just what the hell is so hard about that? And that's how I lived for 5 years. Just what the hell is so hard about following those 3 little rules? And after one fight, after finding something, I do remember it was a Saturday, and the Saturday afternoon and the sun was shining. I was talking to my son, we sat down after we'd been at it, we sat down at the kitchen table. And I said, and by that time I'm wore out, he's wore out, I'm just at the end of my rope. I said, I just don't get it. What's the problem? Why is it? Just quit. That's all you gotta do, you just gotta quit. And he said, Dad, here's what it's like. He says, let's play a game. He says, I want you to hold your breath as long as you can hold your breath. And in the meantime, I will not think about drugs, I'll not think about using drugs, I'll not think about getting drugs, I'll not think about how they make me feel. He says, you will win the game every time. You can hold your breath longer than I can not think about these drugs and what I want and what I need. And at that point, the light began to come on. That there's something different about this. That in his mind, in his body, he needed those drugs as much as I needed oxygen. And that's what he was focused on. And that's when I began to understand that there's more to this than something that you can just quit. It is a disease.